Wagwan. I'm out here. It's actually early. I just woke up, so have a little faith with me. I might be not so smooth with my words today. But let's talk about willpower. Oh, mosquito. Imagine there's two versions of yourself. There's a caveman you and the modern you. The caveman you is a part of yourself that pretty much indulges in everything. You have no self-control. You don't think about the long term. You don't set goals. You just do what you want when you want, indulging in your drugs, alcohol, sex, all this stuff. And then there's the other version of you, the one that wants something in the long term, the one that pretty much has expectations and is taking action. So willpower is the ability to do the hard thing and the right thing, even when you don't want to, even when it's really, really difficult. This is a skill that you could train. Not a lot of people talk about willpower. So willpower is like a well. It can be depleted and it can also be recharged. Say me, let's use myself as an example. I love video games. Willpower states that I must stop playing video games to progress my life better. But the caveman version of myself, that guy who loves the video games, loves the Elden Ring, the FIFA, the Call of Duty, all that stuff, he just wants to play that shit. He doesn't really care. So there's a battle going on in myself. The version of me that wants to level my life up. The modern version of myself. This guy wants me to do better. He wants me to improve. People who are successful, have successful relationships, make a lot of money, just are in a happier place in life. All these people, you know what they have better than you? Their willpower. And they exercise it ruthlessly. This is a secret they don't want you to know, pretty much. You could change your situation by just changing your mentality. So, the long-term version of my goals, like, I wanted to get fit, okay? I wanted to go to the gym and I wanted to pack on muscle. But that caveman inside of me, you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to smoke weed, go on Tinder, play video games, party. All that shit is hella fun. But with every good thing, there's a little bit of backlash or consequences, I should say. So whenever you feel helpless by your urges, your body's taken over by this, let's say, hijacker, okay? Your body and your brain is temporarily taken over by this hijacker who promises you a reward. So if you smoke weed, the reward is you're gonna get high. If you eat junk food, the reward is gonna taste good. You know what I mean? You play video games, the reward is it just feels good. Video games it just feels good, man. Neuroscientists believe our two minds are constantly at odds with each other. The one that's impulse driven, that pretty much seeks instant gratification, and the one that's more long-term driven, that pretty much seeks delayed gratification, because that's the only way you're going to achieve your goals. At any given moment, there's a constant battle going on between these two minds, and whichever beast we feed is the one that's going to become stronger. So you'll find, if you constantly give in to your urges and your impulses, over time your willpower will deplete, and you'll lose the ability to even fight against those urges. That's why you see people who do drugs, or say people who are extremely overweight. At this point, their willpower is severely depleted. Severely. It's pretty much almost impossible for them to come back over the edge, right? Say a guy who's addicted to crack or cocaine or something. Or like just somebody who's, like, as I stated before, extremely overweight and they can't control their food consumption anymore. But it could also go the other way. It could also be a person who controls the other side of themselves and feeds that beast. That person's able to, like, go to the gym, set goals and hit them constantly. It's like a constant positive feedback loop at that point. So you could say future you wants one thing while the current you wants another thing. Let's use an example I can relate to. Say the current me wants to smoke some weed and get high and feel good, but the future me wants to get a job that requires me to not have weed in my system. If I indulge in the weed, I'm not gonna get the job, because when I go to the drug test, they're gonna test my blood and the doctor's gonna look at the other guy and go, this guy has za in his system, hella za in his system. And I'm not gonna get that job, right? So it's important we learn to control this part of ourselves, because it was useful back in the day, like say our caveman days, when we actually needed to like be very impulsive. Like you spot a saber-toothed tiger, you don't have time to think or even process anything. Your body's gonna send a rush of blood to all your muscles, your adrenaline's gonna go through the roof, and your body's just gonna start moving. It's pretty much getting you the ability to escape. It's pretty much giving you the ability to escape. So your body's gonna pump all your necessary resources to the organs and the muscles that you need to escape. But in the modern day, we don't have a saber-toothed tiger chasing us anymore, I would hope. You might be on drugs. But yeah, I would hope you don't have a saber-toothed tiger chasing you anymore. So we don't really have like a lot of use for that area of our brain unless we somehow end up in conflict. So this area of our brain is very impulsive. Say you put a cheesecake in front of yourself. Like me, I'm a guy who loves cheesecake. A person who is indulgent and like using this part of their brain is just gonna eat that cheesecake, no thoughts whatsoever. But a person who say is able to think about it, like use the other rational, more prefrontal cortex side of their brain, is able to look at the cheesecake and go, I want to eat that cheesecake, but I've had like 4 different cheesecakes this week, and if I eat this one, it's gonna like add to my calories and it's gonna bring me over my goal. So if I have a diet, it's gonna ruin my diet. Now, how do you stop yourself from being as indulgent and as impulsive as possible? So some people might find it useful to give a name to this part of themselves. I call this version of myself like Toxic Nick or Impulsive Nick. So whenever I like see marijuana, so immediately as soon as I see marijuana, I just want to roll that up, man. I just want to roll that thing up, man, and just puff. I just want to roll it up and puff it. But because I've trained my willpower to this point, I'm able to look at the marijuana and be like, okay, Nick, what is it that makes you want to smoke this marijuana? Are you bored? Are you tired? Are you cranky? Or are you just looking for pleasure in times of discomfort? Through building my real willpower reserves, I'm able to look at that and pretty much get outside of my own body and judge myself without having those impulses control what I'm doing. So the hijacker has no control over my body. Now, if you're a person watching this video, you're obviously a person who actually is trying to improve themselves, and you know about willpower, so you're not like the masses out there. You think the guy that you see in the Burger King line for the 5th time this week, he has willpower? Well, he does, but it's just extremely low. Imagine he has a tiny vase, while somebody who, like me, I don't really like junk food or any of that stuff. My willpower for the junk food would be like equivalent to like a 10-ton container. That's how charged up my willpower is. There are studies that prove that people who have better willpower live better lives. They have better marriages, better long-term friendships. They're in careers that they actually enjoy. While the people who are very overindulgent, they're usually at the lower end of the poverty spectrum. People who hate their jobs and people who can't hold a sturdy relationship to begin with. Now you might be wondering, so Nick, if my willpower is low, how do I improve it? Well, there are a few ways to improve your willpower. The best way, I think, is by just exercising your willpower. Because yes, willpower gets depleted when you use it, but that's how you exercise it. When you get a full night's sleep and you come back tomorrow, you're gonna have like a bigger reserve of willpower to work from. Say you're a person who wants to get on a diet, but you also want to keep a good mood and you want to, say, save some money. Every time you exercise your willpower on one of those things, if you try to do all 3 of those things in one day, your willpower is going to get lower and lower the moment you do one of those things. So it becomes harder to resist the other thing. Say if I went to the gym this morning, I find it harder to resist a cheesecake slice later. So to exercise my willpower, like I pretty much, how you doing? So to exercise my willpower, I've pretty much been just like putting the temptations in front of myself and trying my best not to indulge in them. Say I quit weed. I keep a couple grams around me, and I'm never gonna smoke that shit until I get to where I want to be. Those grams are gonna be like the temptation that I need to exercise my willpower. I love video games. Since I've been back at my family home now for like a month, my video games are literally in the living room, so I have access to them. But I literally tell myself I'm not gonna play any video games right now. I'm not gonna watch any Netflix. I'm not gonna overindulge in anything. I'm gonna be extremely mentally focused. Yes, it was hard, but after a few days, it became a little easier. So my willpower reserves are getting bigger and bigger. And I go to the gym and I do other stuff to get my dopamine levels balanced out. Now, most people aren't even aware of these two minds coexisting in their head. They don't know that they have like this version of themselves that overindulges or this version of themselves that want to do better. They just see it all as just one them, which is okay, but it makes it harder for you to control your willpower or like say follow through with stuff you want to do. Because the moment it gets difficult, that version of yourself is gonna always push you towards getting an instant reward. Instant rewards are gonna stop you from making long-term rewards. Other than exercising your willpower, you could also meditate. 5 minutes a day is shown to give you increased mental clarity. Some studies have even shown that gray matter in the brain has increased in your prefrontal cortex. So that's the area of your brain that makes logical decisions. You're able to look at everything from a bird's eye view pretty much and make the right choices. When you get more gray matter in this area, you're able to make pretty much harder choices better. So that weed won't be as tempting as it was before. Downloading Tinder and swiping right on every single girl will not be as tempting as before. Drinking that big bottle of Jack Daniels, just raw, no chaser, won't be as tempting as before. So that's an example of what could happen if you actually exercise your willpower. Say the other version of myself, the caveman version of myself now, the overindulgent part. This guy, he exercises his overindulgence. So you know what happens to him over time? As he ignores his willpower and pretty much does what he wants, over time, he loses his willpower. So it becomes so low that they're pretty much like NPCs. For my video gamers out there, you know what I mean, non-playable characters. These people just walk through life like drones, go into their every impulse, not being able to say no to anything. You do not want to be one of these people. You want to be somebody who lives in the present moment, who chases their dreams. Because that's the only way you're going to achieve your dreams is through willpower. Now it's easier. It is easier nowadays to achieve your dreams because most people, they're not even aware of willpower, as I stated before. So if you exercise your willpower and you're able to like stay on track with what you want, I guarantee you're going to have better results than, say, the masses who don't. Now, this could be the same for whatever bad habits you have. Maybe not as sinister, but they are actually the same. That's the way the willpower works. So if you exercise your willpower, you will get better at controlling yourself. If you don't exercise your willpower, you will lose control of yourself. And all these things could spill over into other areas of your life that you least expected. Since I've started going to the gym, I've been exercising the I will part of my willpower. And I've quit weed, so I've been exercising the I won't part of my willpower. And I know exactly what I want. So the I want part of my willpower, I got that part now with the mental clarity that I'm able to get from pretty much exercising my willpower over time. At first, it was like, damn, what's wrong with the masses? Are they dumb as hell? Now I realize that pretty much they just don't exercise their willpower, so I can't judge them as harsh, you know? So I try not to be as harsh as on those people anymore. I get it. But if any of you want to get anywhere good in life, you're gonna have to learn how to control your willpower and use it to your benefit other than your detriment. That's all I have for my morning walk this morning. Just food for thought, guys. Perp, out.